listening to 91 Reasons, a journey into the twisted landscape of pop culture. Keep your hands and arms inside the podcast at all times. And now, the voice, Jeff Tucker.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Midsummer Scream. In 2012, Not Scary Farm introduced fans to a new breed of Halloween attraction. Its name was Trapped. Shrouded in secrecy, this over-the-top, R-rated haunt maze pushed the limits of what was and wasn't acceptable in a family-branded theme park. Rumors circulated, horrifying stories were shared, but no photos or videos were ever shared with the public. Until now. Today, witness, for the first time ever, one of the most unsettling and infamous attractions in the history of Not Scary Farm. Please, welcome to the stage, the creators of Trapped, Jeff Tucker and Gus Kruger. Ladies and gentlemen, the Trapped Unlocked presentation.
Thank you, that was very nice. Hi, everybody. He doesn't even know that woman. The freebies. Freebies.
I'm going to sit down.
Wow. All right, hey, this is Gus Kruger, everybody.
Hey, everybody, how you doing?
I'll sit in a minute. I want to watch everything. So, hey, I'm Jeff Tucker. I work at Knott's Berry Farm, Knott's Scary Farm. Next year is 25 years for me. I have grown up, thank you, on the farm. And I'm always looking, like, I don't design mazes. Gus designs mazes, right?
Yeah.
For many years, I was in charge of the usher department. Yeah, ushers, right? Yeah, Casey. And I was in charge of Mystery Lodge.
We're going to need her to go up.
Yeah. In fact, I was the storyteller. I've done Mystery Lodge so many times that we had a beach party a couple weeks ago, and I actually did the whole show around the fire pit. It was fantastic.
At the end, they were very disappointed he didn't disappear.
I ran into the surf, right? But there was a couple people that were like, oh my God, he knows all the words. He never goes away. It never goes away. But I also work on Halloween Haunt, or on Not Scary Farm, and I've done shows there. I've worked on The Hanging for many years. I helped write The Hanging. Thank you. That was a lot of fun, which was great, because I was on The Hanging before Janet Jackson had her wardrobe malfunction. And before that, the show was really dirty. And then it wasn't for a long time. And now, with political correctness run amok, I don't even know what we do with it at this point. But we're not here to talk about that. But I also, prior to social media, if you can imagine a world where you didn't take pictures of your food or post, I'm going to the store, or like my friend Zach always posts, I'm bored tonight, let's do something. People just lived their life. And they weren't on the phone was to make actual phone calls, is what it was. In 2004, I did a show called Tommy Tomb at the Tiki Lounge of Terror, which would never fly today because it was very dirty. But people just looked at it. They didn't get up and leave angry and complain, I want my money back. They just were like, the show sucked. To which we pointed to the marquee, which said, a complete waste of your time. That was the subtitle of the show. You went, Chris Murray. You went through. It was on the marquee, and the ushers loved it because when people yelled, they just go. It says right there, it's a complete waste of your time. So I'm always looking for, like, what's the next thing that Scary Farm can do? How do we grow? How do we become bigger and scarier? I mean, Gus, you and I, we soak up every ounce of pop culture and what's going on. And one of the issues at Knott's and every big-scale Halloween attraction is capacity. It's always about capacity. Because you see the commercials, and it's like the Scooby Gang going through the maze, and there's nobody behind them, and nobody in front of them, and it's like, I want to do that. And then you get there, and it's like... right? And even worse is the monster goes, "Rawr!" The guy goes, "Saw you like 5 people ago, man."
My favorite is the other place, where it's like they're all conga line through, and you get like.
So the problem there is, again, capacity, because when you come to an event like Not Scary Farm, we want you to have a good time. We don't want you to wait in line all night. The line has to keep moving, right? Because you see, now that with the pass, though, you can come night after night after night. Anybody go every night like me, right? Night after night after night. So
I don't even do it.
Yeah.
It's too much. It's too much.
So the line becomes something else, right? But the idea, the first inkling I had of it was 2009. I was like, we have to come up with a way to eliminate the line for the maze. But there's no way to do that. How do you make it so that you go in with your group, the doors close behind you, and you never see anybody else through the maze? It's impossible to do because of capacity. The first few incarnations of this, I was writing, and again, I'm not a maze designer. It was called Surveillance. Because the idea was that there would be cameras everywhere. Because if you were in the maze, and this is all my subliminal stuff, if you're in the maze and the idea is you don't see anybody else, why not break everything? Why not destroy everything? Well, it's called surveillance. They must be watching us, right? Which we are. We have amazing tapes from all the years of Trapped of everybody. You ever seen those paranormal shows where it's all green and their eyes are real big? And we have tons of those. We can't show anybody because it's not kosher. But that was so that nobody got hurt, right? But, or they would look in the camera and go, "Help." And we'd all gather around, "Hey, we got one." Right?
Or it's like.
Yeah. Or we'll get into it. The other thing was retching. We would see somebody start to retch. And have you ever seen like Jurassic Park? There's like 10 different screens on one screen, right? And then in the bottom corner, there's a guy starting to retch, so that one becomes really big. And everybody gathers around, and we're like, "Oh my God." And then the money's like changing hands like in Raiders of the Lost Ark. And the retching guy is like, "Pestore, pestore." And we've never had a maze bring upon retching before Trapped, so that's a big honor. So anyways, what happened was I was reading the New York Times, because I'm a nerd, and there was an article about an upscale, adult-only haunted house. This was 2009 or 2010, and it was this, when I was a kid, I used to read the calendar section of the LA Times, and there was always these articles about plays, and there was a play called Terra, where this is like 84, 85, 86, and it was a play that you followed room to room. You didn't sit in an audience and watch a play. You like walked around. It was like the Ren Fair in a building, right? Where you just follow people around for the story. And there's something to that, right? So this group in New York had taken it and made it a haunted house out of it. And of course, since it was adults only, it was really dirty. There was nudity and there was a rape scene. Like, it was really dark. But the whole idea of a reservation haunted house, that's where it came from, is this New York Times article. So I started pitching it around the office. And what was the result, Gus? Do you remember?
It's kind of just like.
People got angry at me.
It's not going to work.
Yeah, Daniel Miller would go, "We're never doing that." No.
Yeah, and really.
No, that's a stupid idea. No one will pay and then pay again.
Yeah, there was a little bit of reluctance there for
Yeah.
sure. And the idea did kick around a couple years before it
Oh,
got
yeah, it was
serious.
years.
It was just, he kept bringing it up, and they're like, "Oh, there's Jeff again talking."
Yeah. The guy in the back of the room, "Excuse me." So what happened was we had a management shift. And when it came time to plan the 40th, somebody said, "Hey, we're having a meeting. Bring all your crazy ideas." So, of course, I look like Doc Brown when he's running from Marty with all of those papers. Because I've got all these ideas, right? And the first thing I said was, "Upcharge maze." And there was a lot of conversation because you don't want to charge the guests again, right? You don't want to charge them again. But I made the argument, if the maze is good enough and different, people will pay for it. If it's interactive, and there were no escape rooms at this point. There were a couple on the East Coast, and I think Busch Gardens had done something like that. I didn't know at the time, so it's like when Armageddon and Deep Impact came out. We don't know. There's just 2 asteroid movies.
I actually ditched my script when those 2 came out.
Yeah,
I was like, I'm going to stop making my film about it.
Yeah. So we had all these discussions, and finally the green light comes on, and I'm like, we're really going to do this thing, right?
Yeah. And it's funny, too, because if you really think about it, I know there's a lot of people who are like, oh, Knott's just wanted money. And it was never the case.
Oh, yeah, no,
it was
never
just
about the money.
All of the money that got paid to Trapped went to making Trapped. So it wasn't like a cash cow for us. We're like, we're rich.
Well, here's the thing. If Trapped made money, we'd still have it.
Exactly, right?
Why would you shut down the one that's like printing money out? No. It was about the fans and the love affair I have with the fans and wanting to give the Scary Farm fans the best experience ever. And not that our regular mazes aren't good, they're just different. Because I wanted to do a maze that was about hands-on. You are the star. You're the person making the action. And in year 3, when we finally got to the point where I said, look, we're going to have a woman in a noose and you get to pull the lever. I thought, this is going to be great. People are going to line up for this. And the first night, people are like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, a lot of people didn't want to hang her.
Like, no, you paid for this. I'm not doing it.
So some groups, of course, there's the guy that's like, you bet, yeah.
Oh,
right?
Yeah, I know.
But there were those groups where they had to say, you're doing it, right?
You had to.
And they pick a guy or
the girl
a
in the noose is crying, I want to go home, and you think she's a guest. It was great, right? So... but the best part was, we'll get to that. After that, there was a room where you got to be hung. So we had they put a black cloth on your head. They put a noose around your neck. They pulled a lever, and the floor dropped. And that was, where else can you have that kind of fun, right? And my idea of fun is different. I get it.
My favorite of any of our noose moments and the hanging things, we were watching the video, and we're like, my God, is that girl peeing? And she got hung.
The picture gets bigger.
She's doing this, and then she goes down, and you just see her body relaxes, and she loosens up, and we're like, I think she just peed.
Yes.
So of course, I wasn't in the control room all the time, but this one was like, I gotta go. I'm gonna go check. So we're looking, and there were the people in that room, the Reapers or whatever they were. They're just looking they can't say anything because they wear this, but it's like. I'm digging up a fossil.
Well, that's the goal, right?
And yes, absolutely. And no, yes, I have that footage, and no, I can't show it to anyone.
We also have the service dog, right?
I don't know that we saved the service dog getting hung.
Service dog comes through. What do?
Hang the dog.
They hang the dog. No animals were harmed in the making of Trapped.
But I think we missed out on that because the dog didn't pay for the ticket. So that was a freebie.
It was a freebie. So Trapped year 1, we'll get right back to Trapped because we're all the way to 3. So Trapped year 1, we launched it, and I came up with all these crazy ideas. I'm a big fan of a guy named William Castle. He was a monster movie maker in the 50s, and his movies were terrible. But it was what surrounded the movies that made it so good. He made a movie called The Tingler, where it's about this giant bug. It's Vincent Price. And this giant bug connects to your cerebral cortex, and you have to scream really loud to get it to let go, right? So at one point, they actually cut to a movie theater in the movie, and Vincent Price goes, "The Tingler's loose in the theater," and he's talking to you. And some of the seats were rigged to smack you around your feet. So people are getting up and they're screaming, right? And it was all 10 cents worth of fun. And William Castle also had, for one of his movies, there was an ambulance parked outside in case anybody died. A hearse. It was a hearse. The other one was an ambulance with a nurse, and she would check your blood pressure to make sure you were okay to see the movie. And that's like, the movies are crap. Who cares what the movie is, right? But I was like, we're going to use all of that. So when I announced we were going to do a waiver, people lost their minds. And you have a bunch of you have the waiver, right? We gave some out. It's nonsense. Some of it is taken directly from Willy Wonka's waiver before they go into the chocolate factory. The Fripp and Frippery is directly from, I looked it up, I copied and pasted it. It talks about Radiator Springs, but most people don't even read it. Yeah. They sign it and go, I hope they don't hurt me in there. So we announced the waiver, and then when we did one of the first events that we did, we talked about it. We were like, we're not going to tell you what the maze is. We want you to trust us, and that was a big leap because the price was $60. You could bring 6 people, $60, so 10 apiece. If you brought 4 people, it was still $60. If you brought 2 people, or the one time, more than once, one guy.
Yeah, we did get that one.
Yeah, that was uncomfortable. One guy's like, here I go, $60.
High roller.
Like, it's really more fun with friends. Don't have any. Okay, come on in. So we had the waiver, we had the secrecy, no pictures. Now imagine if we announce there's no Trapped. It's not coming back. That's not what this is about. Marketing, I have to be very clear. It's not coming back. But I want to ask you a question. If it did come back and you came up to the maze and I said, hey, we're going to need your cell phone for 35 minutes. There are people that would go, boysenberry, can't go in. Right? 6 years ago, 2012, little different. Before Facebook really took off, before Twitter, the Knott's Berry Farm Twitter had 800 followers back then. Like, it was nothing the way it is now today. People are on their phones all day, right? So anyways, we asked for the secrecy, no pictures, no recordings, nothing. And it was trust us, right? So I had this idea that we would open the event and I would walk over to Trapped and I go, how's it going? They go, well, we're waiting for somebody to pay. And when somebody paid, they'd go, all right, everybody get to your spots. And instead, the day before Haunt, I said, how's it going? And marketing goes, oh, you're sold out for the weekend. I said, oh my God. I hope it's good. Yeah.
I hope it works.
I hope it works. Because again, we're flying blind. There's no test audiences for this. We don't know what, everything was, this was the first maze by committee, right?
Yeah. I mean, there had been things in the past where a lot of people were involved in the decision-making process. But this one really was, we want to do an upcharge maze, bring your ideas on. There's very few limits on it. We're not doing nudity, we're not like really hurting people, but we can touch them. We can have interactivity.
You're now part of the
food.
scene.
So
immersive.
don't stifle your creativity in those ways, but bring your ideas on what you think that this crazy experience could be. So I was new to design at the time. I brought a couple room ideas. All of our established people brought their ideas. Laura had some, Brooke, Daniel, Todd Fox, Catherine White had some input at the time. But we all brought ideas, so there had to be at least 20 different room concepts out there. And then it sort of got whittled down into, we had a very limited space with the arcade because we did it where, what's that thing called now?
The Showdown.
The VR Showdown.
VR Showdown.
Yeah, that thing. That's where that's living now. But we were doing it in the arcade. We were actually doing 2 tracks inside of there so that we can make sure that we're getting enough people through. So it had to be rooms that were small, but not too small, but could tell the scene and also work on that layout. Daniel Miller did the final polishing on getting all that layout. He spent a lot of time. Yeah.
And the other thing is, like, unlike the escape rooms, because again, there were no escape rooms before. There were some, but they didn't, like, now they're everywhere, right? Oh, yeah. And the gimmick of these, I mean, I did the Crossroads run. We didn't make it out. We all died. Well, with Trapped, every puzzle that you go through has to be solvable in like 3 minutes because we've got a group behind you. So we couldn't make it too difficult. But we also wanted to give the audience something they had never seen before at Scary Farm. So We're going to roll the video. It's never been seen before. Hold on 1 second. It's never been seen before. We have 2 videos to play for you. The first one is the one that I shot using the show lighting, so it's very dark. We'll play that one, and then we'll talk about it. And then at the end, we'll play one with a light on. You can see the whole maze in all its gory glory. It's fantastic. What was I going to say about the flow-through? It has some bad language, so if anybody is sensitive to that, leave now. Trapped was rated R. Oh, Gus, no.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Where the hell are you going? So we'll, again, I remember is Rick West here? Did he leave? He begged me for a flow-through of this because he's the keeper of all the flow-throughs. And I was like, Rick, we're trying to, even if you have it, that's more than one person who I don't want to have it. So I'm sorry. No cameras, no nothing. We're only going to do it internally. And I used a really small, cheapy camera. But it will really, the first one will really show you how claustrophobic, how scary it was. Again, there's some harsh language. And it's great. So you're the first people to ever see this. Here we go. Okay, that's not the video. That's Rick Astley. Can you turn that off? I don't... It's marketing doing
We
that
have
to me.
no idea how that happened.
Okay. Okay, so let's try the... We apologize for that. We've been Rick rolled.
There's technical difficulties.
We've been Rick West rolled. Okay. All kidding aside, we have not wasted your time. Let's play the real video. Oh, please, God, let it be there. They're in a horrible, filthy bathroom. And there's no obvious way out here. There's no other door. There's no way out once you go in. The conceit was you paid $60. You're greeted by a very pretty girl and then immediately put into the filthiest bathroom we've ever built that really does smell like crap and pee. That's a janitor who is screaming, you guys don't effing know what you're doing. Yeah, there's no audio. That's bizarre. So yeah, he's screaming at them because they're all idiots and can't find their way out, which of course you can't find your way out until he is going to let you know. This is a guy named Gary. He's fantastic. In year 3, we put him in a dress. So yeah, this is the bathroom, one of 2 that we built for it. It's completely immersive. It stinks. Each stall is filled with feces, and there's graffiti on the walls, and it's all smeared. And then eventually he's going to let them know that one of the toilets contains a pair of dirty underwear, and if you pull the underwear, the door will open to let you out.
I know this is very difficult for people to imagine, but Daniel Miller was involved in the creation of this room.
Well, we wanted to
It smells so...
put him off balance at the beginning.
It's so poopy. Poop.
So they've just pulled the underwear, and now the door is open for them to get out. I'm sure that the second one will have audio, so I apologize.
That's all
So
right.
he's telling them to get the hell out into the next room.
Should we actually add in the foul language because they're not getting in?
Well, they're about to see Mr. Clean here, who's going to make an appearance. My friend Jeff. Jeff is there screaming, "Get the hell out, jackass." He just flipped him off. And right here he goes, "You have to know this. To get out of the room, here's what you have to do." Now they're in a room full of rat cages and live rats. And
Yeah,
yes, PETA was not happy with us.
The rats were very well cared for.
Oh my God, the most well cared for rats
and
ever.
they went to forever homes.
They had lots of babies during their run of Trapped, and there are still families of them around. Yeah.
Yeah. We released some on the show floor.
Yeah.
They're big fans of Halloween.
So yeah, the cages are full of rats. You can smell real rat. It's cute. trivia. There was actually a talent in here that got cut early. It was going to be my wife as the rat girl, which I thought was pretty funny. But there's it says don't pet the rat, which of course you're supposed to pet the rat. They will pet the rat and a door will open right here. They're looking for it.
So they'll crawl through here into a very tight, confined, bigger human-sized cage. And when they get in that, the door to that cage shuts behind them.
There's no way out. It's a pre-run cycle of rats screeching and then rice being thrown at you, which feels like rat droppings.
So as soon as the light went out, we started dropping that on there, and it was just an automated thing. And
And if the people in the next room did not hurry, some guests were subjected to this to 3 or 4 cycles. So now you're entering Mama's kitchen. This is a filthy kitchen where you're going to meet Mama or Mama's son sometimes, depending on if it's a man or a woman. And this is great. This is one of my favorite moments. To get out of this room, she's got a tray there full of bugs you have to eat. And what's funny is they're from the gift shop. They're nacho cheese flavored. They're not anything you wouldn't normally eat. I mean, they're silly, but they are real. Weekend 1, we had people drinking Mama's milk, which was buttermilk, cottage cheese served warm. And you'll see we have a second one we're going to play where a guy does vomit because of that. So it got cut early. This video is great because the woman on the left, you can't see her, she's a brunette. She'll come into view soon. She's a vegetarian. And they're pointing to her because this has her more troubled than anything. And the whole point of Trapped was, yes, it's scary, but it was mostly about stress. Can you handle these situations? What are you going to do? Like, they're all eating it, right? Poor Carrie there in the middle is stuck. She's one of our saloon dancers. Yeah, they're all eating it, but she's saying no one's getting out until you eat it.
And this room on the technical side was kind of fun just because it was all a very traditional kitchen. We bought some cabinets and did some other stuff, but we wanted to find those small fridges that used to be like the 50s style fridges. Yeah. So it took forever to source them. And we wound up we found this weird place out in the boonies.
Here she goes.
On Craigslist.
She's like, no, I'm not doing that.
So yeah, these are like old Craigslist fridges. And Jen Hernandez, our props gal at the time, she was working with me in props. She said it was a very interesting experience going out to Craigslist and
oh sure.
You want to buy these fridges?
What you want them for? Well, we're building.
Actually, here's a pretty neat piece of trivia. One of the fridges that were used in this, one of those companion fridges, was in Trick or Treat. The Maze Trick or Treat in the kitchen. Well, if you go through or watch any videos of that, there's a little fridge.
Okay,
in there.
So the next thing is the refrigerator opens, and that's the way out. And for me, I was like, oh yeah, it's the next room, but I didn't realize, these people have no idea what's going to happen in the next room, so they don't even want to leave. Like, she'd rather face the bug than the doorway. Oh, it's the greatest. This is why I go to work. Okay, so now they're hitting the next room. And the next room, again, this is so bizarre to me. As a guy, I have no concept of why this is scary. This is a room full of mirrors where you're going to say Bloody Mary 3 times. And every woman who went through here had gone to a slumber party at some point. And this terrified. We had more boysenberries in this room. That was the way to get out. You said boysenberry, and the experience ended in this room than any other room. And it was always from some woman who was like, this was my childhood nightmare. So you can't really see it. You'll see it on the next video. She's appearing on all the mirrors, and she's saying, say my name 3 times. And the guys are like, what's the big deal? And the women are like, it's a big deal. We're all going to die. Like, it was, you could stand outside this room all night and it was just pure terror of people screaming. It's hard to see. The next one is lit, like I said. We're going to show you the whole thing. But this video is just too good not to show. So the mirrors are cracking. and she's going to pop out at some point here. There we go. Some more vacation slides. Yeah, so now we're in the puzzle room. You designed this room, right, Gus?
I had some input on it. Yeah, we wanted something where you kind of had to figure out how to get out in more of a traditional, just playing with it, mirrors, basically smoke and mirrors. For me, the one thing that I was really adamant on this room is that the whole room should move. Right, so you get in this room and you're trying to feel around, and there's mirrors and all this plexiglass, so you can't really tell what it is. But if you push the room, the entire room would move on a track towards the goal,
towards the monster.
Yeah, and this actually, I got a lot of people that weren't really happy with this one, just because not of anything we did, because the knuckleheads in their party wound up like, oh hey, I could push this, so they pushed it really fast, and the back of the room smashed into the people that were in the party with them. So like, just imagine, like, you're in a box and you move the box. Well, everybody has to walk with the box, so the guests were clobbering the other guests with the room.
There's no charge for that.
No, that was a bonus. So it was just like, well, I hadn't even thought of that as an opportunity, well, not an opportunity. Well, I guess an opportunity for me. I didn't get hit, but yeah, it's just an added bonus. Your friends make you happy.
So here the guests are walking down a long hallway with lights. What they don't know is that there's a secret door to the control room in this hallway, where anytime there was no guest there, you'd see Tex and me and other people moving back and forth. It was really cool.
Yeah, the whole experience was controlled by a little room filled with, like you said, the monitors with everything in the middle of the maze. So our techs and the people running the show had to go through the maze to, control the maze.
So here we are in the morgue. There's a corpse on the table. There's a coffin. And there are actual morgue drawers that we got from the morgue.
Yeah, all of this stuff was authentic. Dead people were on all of this, including, it was a secondhand coffin, because those are the best kinds. All of the morgue drawers were actually sourced morgue drawers, because it's just
you can't make them on your own. They have to hold a person.
So
this was in the designing portion. This was the moment I said, "You're going to let us do this? We're going to put people in a morgue drawer and close them up in it." So yes, that's what's happening. They're getting in the drawer and being closed up in the morgue drawer. Look at that. And that, my friends, is worth the $60. The two girls are like, no. And how about this? There was also another door, because the maze has to be ADA compliant. Any guests that were in a wheelchair would go through a door where they were in an incinerator. So it felt like you were being cremated. We're equal opportunity offenders. So the guys have decided to go through the morgue drawers. There goes the other guy. The girls are going to get in the coffin. There's no sound, which is unfortunate, because when they get in the coffin and the door's closed, they just start screaming. Because what's happening is, on the other side, there are people dressed as the Grim Reaper grabbing you and pulling you through the rest of the maze.
Yeah.
So he's going to be sent to the crematorium here.
Right. So that guy gets to stand up. Lucky him. But yeah, it's kind of, the people on the other side really weren't let out until everyone was in their position. So everybody that got stuck in that morgue drawer, they were waiting until everybody was in their positions to move forward. So
we had the guy Chewy from Kiss FM go through, and we left him in the morgue drawer for about 3 minutes. And we finally got him out. He grabbed me. He goes, Jeff, I'm alive. I said, "You're fine, Chewy." Oh my God. He was terrified. So now we're getting the group together to go into the arcade. There's the Grim Reaper. And in the arcade, there are people playing video games. There's a banner that says, "I escaped trapped." You're signing up. You're getting a free souvenir photo. This was our false ending. Everybody involved in it is in on it. So your guard is down. Here's your free photo. And here comes Alan and the gang Just have to leave now. You're all good. Maze is over. Oh, it's not over. So all the people playing video games are hideous, and they try to get you, and then they throw you out. Oh, it's so much fun.
Ladies and gentlemen, Trapped.
All right, so you get an idea of what it was like. And this was year one. The experience was between, depending on how fast you got through the maze, 12 to 15 minutes.
Yeah, something like that.
12 to 15 minutes. The fact that it sold out every night I was so proud.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
I would go over and just go, it's sold out again. That's so exciting, right? The only thing you're missing is at the beginning we had a podium we hired these associates, very pretty girls, and they were no help at all. They would welcome you and talk to you. I based it off of the Super girl from the Terminator attraction. Remember her? Super. Remember her? I said, watch that on YouTube, and then don't be that, but I want you to be as least helpful as you can. Whatever questions they have, you don't have the answers. And that was so much fun. Oh my God.
Yeah, and on the screens right now,
these are stills.
We got a lot of stills from the maze and some talent shots. These all come courtesy of my friend Jason Holmes. He was taking pictures of rooms and monsters at the time, so thank you, Jason, for
the rat room.
These photos, and he actually did provide the second video, which we'll be watching at the end of this presentation.
The best part about the rat cage is it was this tall. So everybody in the rat cage just stooped over, and I'm like, what's the problem, guys? This is like my apartment. What's the big deal?
Good to go.
There's the Bloody Mary room. There's Bloody Mary. That's who would come out and get you. And that we got a lot of boysenberries there. There's the puzzle room. So Trapped was a huge success its first year. I couldn't have been more proud of everybody. The talent really just took it and ran with it and made every experience so unique for the guests. There's one of the janitors. And Trapped came back for year two. I was not involved in year two. I was off doing a show called Possessed with my daughter, which I'm very proud of. But thank you. There's Josie. Where are you? There's Maggie right there in the back. There's a moment. Anybody see Possessed? Thank you. Really low capacity. So a lot of people didn't get to see. Even though every show filled up, not a lot of people got to see it because we were really low capacity. But Josie played a ghost that we came to life the same way that the Mystery Lodge show comes to life. And if you've seen Mystery Lodge, you're about, 12 feet from the stage or more. And then the ghost is another 8 feet in there. So you're really far. And there's big pieces of glass down. And there was a moment where Josie turned to the audience and said, now I'm going to play with all of you. And grown men would get up and go, you ain't playing with me. I was like, because we've got it on tape. Yeah. Season Pass has it on tape. But that was great. But then year three, Gus and I were handed basically a blank check. Not a blank check, but a blank piece of paper.
Yeah, that was an interesting one because we tried something a little bit different with two, and mixed results. We don't really need to talk about that one. But with three, it was another. We went back to the drawing board that we had with one, where it was very collaborative. Everybody brought their room ideas to the table, and then once we kind of got them all, we filtered through them. It was on me and Jeff. I think for the most part, I worked with Laura and hammered down these are the rooms. And then once I got that sort of layout on that, Jeff and I worked together and we started how do we tell the story of it? Because with that one, we did want to do things a little differently, and we gave it a little bit of a backbone with the false guest. I mean, granted, we aren't really here to talk tons about three, but we did get back to what worked with one. And we went bonkers in three, but that's a panel for another year.
Three. The biggest compliment I can give for three was the Season Pass podcast went through, and afterwards they came up to me and they said, "Jeff, we're really concerned. We recorded it, but you were very clear that it was like a 25-minute experience, and we were in there like 10 minutes." And I said, "No. It was longer than. I mean, the first one was 12 to 13 to 15. This one." Some groups were in there 30 minutes. They're like, well, the tape doesn't lie. We've got it on tape. I said, well, check the tape. And how long was it, Doug? 32 minutes. I was like, Doug, you were in there over a half an hour. And that was the ultimate compliment, right? So the other thing about Trapped Year 3, we'll play the video in a second. The other thing about Trapped Year 3 was it almost got me fired. We had people drinking urine in that one.
I personally bought all of that urine.
Yeah, it was.
So if you drank it, you could thank me for that.
Whose idea was that room? Whose idea was that room?
I think Daniel.
Yeah, I think it was Daniel.
Yeah. It was just.
So no,
it was just white vinegar.
It was
vinegar, and we'd put like the tiniest touch of apple cider in there just to give it the color. And it's funny, my wife is actually like, well, why don't you just use the apple cider vinegar? It tastes better. And I said, you're missing the point.
No. So, where's Alan? I know he's here. Alan was one of the guys in the urine room, and they had a whole thing. They went from Hot Monsters to like Betty Crocker. Yeah, because like they were always fiddling with the mixture of the vinegar and the apple cider, and then Alan would sprinkle a little salt for grit.
Yeah, the one year we did the salt. Or that was I think it was the one weekend I was like, hey, why don't we do a little salt? And you're like, that's great. And then I come the next day and you're like, I got to stop doing the salt because everyone is vomiting. And I'm like...
Well, the other thing is there was...
I see your point, but...
There was the show lighting in there. They're keeping it under the show lights, so it's warm.
And
I'm like, here's the thing. I'm like, what are you guys doing? It's fantastic. Don't change. I can't believe you guys are doing this.
And Byron's backstage, like, I've got to mix it. He's doing his thing. It's like it was a whole production.
Yeah,
the whole production.
So what happened was the beginning of Trapped. See, here's the thing. Trapped Year 1 had a false ending. I was so excited about. I've always wanted to do a maze where it looks like you're out of the maze and then you're not out of the maze. Isn't that great? So we wanted to try to. How do you do a false start? Because I always said it like this. Everybody knows when the movie starts. The fun is, when does it end, right? I don't know when the movie's going to end and what's going to happen at the end. So the arcade thing at the end was perfect for that. But how do you do a false start? So the false start for Year 3 was almost got me fired because, again, we had almost the same group of girls, these amazing actresses, and we put them in flight attendant costumes with like a little neckerchief and like real straight lines. They look like Pan Am, right? And we had a little living room set up that the guests would sit in the living room, and we discovered weekend 2 there was a phone, so I would call people on the phone, and they'd go, hello, I'd go, you're all gonna die. And they'd go, boysenberry. So I'd walk out and I go, is there a problem? Yeah, we're out here. I go, you haven't even started. Well, the guy on the phone, forget the guy on the phone. I know the guy on the phone. He's an a-hole. Don't worry about the guy on the phone. Right? So
I would call him up and be like, how's it going? Your friend there? No, not that one. The one in the white shirt. He's going to die. But you can't tell him.
We'd make him pick. Hello? Which one of your friends do you want to die first? And they go, him? Put him on the phone. Yeah, your friend just said you're going to die first. Boysenberry. So, but that was not in any planning meeting. That was simply me going, there's a phone. I can call people on the phone. So, what happened was we did a dress rehearsal night for a few of the monsters and for the upper management. So upper management comes in, and they're in the living room, and here comes the flight attendant. And she comes in, and these were, again, amazing actresses. She comes in, and she's got a cue card. And she goes, hello, welcome to Trapped, Lock and Key. The safe word is boysenberry. Say it now. Now, don't say it. I mean, it's all staccato. And walk with the guest. Oh, I'm sorry. Walk with the guest. Like the whole thing like that, right? So our boss, Rafi, is in this group. And he's very angry with me because we're not ready. Because she's reading from a cue card. She's not at all ready, right? So he's texting as they're walking down the hall, get his papers ready. He's out of here. So then the flight attendant goes, Wait on the line. I will be right back with your keys. Like, awful, right? So she goes behind a wall. 2 seconds later, she comes out, and now she's in full dominatrix gear. She's got a paddle or a whip, and she starts screaming, "Get on your knees, maggot. You're not ready for this." And that, Rafi came to him and he goes, "You were fired up until that moment." And I just said, "You gotta trust me." I said, everything you see, no matter how random it looks, it's all planned. And that was the tough part, because A Maze Like Trapped is not easy to do. Not because it's fun to come up with ideas. It's great to execute them. The problem with A Maze Like Trapped is when that group leaves, the room has to be completely reset. And you have 12 seconds or less to do it. Gus had a room in Trapped Year 3 where you had to put your hand in the rear ends of animals.
I did the elephant's butt, yeah.
Yeah. And you had to pull you had to assemble a corpse, right?
Yeah, you had to get the key to open the cabinet because the clown in there, his friend lost his head. And he locked it up, and he can't find the key. So you help him find the key to open the cabinet to put the head on the clown. But it was an old circus clown that just couldn't leave the circus behind. So all of the animals from the circus, when he died, he had them turned into taxidermy and put all around the inside of his trailer. But he wasn't really discriminate on what parts of the animal he put. So we had an elephant's butt. You had to reach into a tiger's mouth and. With no idea what was
on the other side, and that's the problem.
Right.
But here's the thing: they do all this stuff. There's all these intricate moves they have to do to get out, and as soon as they leave, sometimes it was you as the clown.
Oh yeah, I did. I had to do a day as a clown.
So as soon as they leave,
unfortunate clown fight incident.
As soon as they leave, Gus has to reset everything. The head has to go back in the cabinet. The cabinet has to be locked. The key has to be taken and put down the elephant's rear end. And that's the hard part to a maze like this is the reset. So when you go through any of those escape rooms now, or when you watch the video, imagine as soon as they leave, everything has to be reset.
Yeah, you get 15, maybe 20 seconds to zip it over.
That was Trapped, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for coming out to Midsummer Scream. Gus Kruger.
Thanks for listening to 91 Reasons. Please subscribe and leave a review on iTunes. Find us on Facebook. Is anyone even still listening?
I am now.
Oh, God. Why are we filming again? What is there to film about? What?
Say, please stop filming me.
Please stop filming me?
That's good. Try it again. Say, please stop filming me.
Please stop filming me.
No, that's good. Now try it again. Say, please stop filming me.
Please stop filming me. I dropped the towel down.